Okay, so I'm now ready to add new CSS, and the instructions tell me to add a new folder called Layout, and inside that new folder create a file called layout.css. And there's a picture of VS Code showing these shortcut icons to create a new folder and create a new file. So let's do that. I need to create a new folder called Layout. And when that's highlighted, I can create a new file, layout.css, and it goes into that new folder, opens it up, and is ready to start actually editing. So I have the code here that we're going to use. I'm going to copy it. Go ahead and copy that and paste it in. Go ahead and save that with my new keyboard shortcut, Command S or Control S. And we already should know that .story is our class for the story, and it's using, if you looked at the top of the summary, it's using multi-column, CSS multi-column in here, as well as changing a little bit of a margin up at the very top. So this is a very good example of using complex selectors. You can see here that we have a first child selector on a paragraph, which is inside the div of the class of story, which is a very nice thing to be able to make sure that we don't have a large, what that is doing is making sure we don't have too large of a space between our gallery and then our story, the space between those two. Then we have the introduction of CSS Grid. We have the use of display grid, and then we're making sure that our content within our grid containers are centered. And then we are making good use of media queries to change the way that our grid works, both for a medium-sized screen and then for a larger screen. So I might create a lecture video that discusses this in more detail, but for right now, this is the styling, the CSS that we need to create our layout. And then at the very end, we have a rule for our .github class. And if you come over here, you can see that when we included this SVG, it had a class of GitHub. So we can style .github first by making the fill of that SVG white, and then changing some of its sizing to make it look a little nicer. Okay, so we have the new file, but we don't have it actually working yet. So to make it work, we have to add the link to that file. So in the head of our index.html, we're going to put a new link, and it has to come after styles.css, and it's going to link to that new layout.css. I'm going to come back into the head. I'm going to get past, on the end of that last link there. Again, I'm going to have Emmett help me. So I'm going to type, Actually, is one of those nice? No, I don't know which one is working. So I'm going to just type link. It makes rel equals style sheet for me, leaves me at href. So I'm going to do layout slash, and actually Emmet once again, or the VS Code, is helping me to find that file. So if I click on that, I know that my typing is correct. Go ahead and save that. Come back now to live server. We can see that our GitHub link is nice and white now, so we can actually see it. It's a little bit smaller than it was before. Isn't quite crammed up against this word here. It has a little bit of space in between. On our form, you'll notice that let's actually size this window down. Instead of sizing it down, let's take it back out and go into DevTools. And I find sometimes when I click on the device simulator, sometimes I need to go between, I have to click this on and off when I'm going between devices. But here we are with the normal look for an iPhone. So the pictures in our gallery are on top of each other. It's a single column for the story. And our coffee cup is on top of our form. If I change that to be responsive, just make sure, double click that. A slightly larger screen now has the pictures to the left and the fig captions to the right, making better use of this real estate. And the story is 2 columns instead of 1. And the coffee cup is now to the left side of the form. Now if we grab a hold, let me change that to 50, give ourselves enough room. We grab a hold of this handle here and make it even larger. Do that again. Then our photo gallery becomes 3 pictures across with the fig caption underneath. The story is now 3 columns wide. And the form has not grown very much at all. It has stayed an okay size because you don't really need more space necessarily to let these elements grow. Okay, so that's it for this styling. In the next video, I will talk about the fave icon.